You know, you should be doing something important like reviewing your budget, tackling that mountain of debt, or setting up your emergency savings account. But instead, you find yourself scrolling through social media, binge watching a series, or, let's be honest, doing anything other than what you know needs to get done. Why it is so easy to procrastinate when it comes to our finances? Maybe it's the fear of facing the reality of our money situation, or maybe it's the overwhelming task of managing it all. Whatever the reason, procrastination is one of the biggest barriers to financial success. But here is the good news, it doesn't have to be this way. In this video, we're going to talk about practical, actionable ways to overcome procrastination and take control of your finances, one small step at a time. Whether it's changing your mindset, setting realistic goals, or getting serious about deadlines, I've got the strategy that will work for you. Ready to stop procrastinating and start making real progress with your money? Let's dive in. Alright, let's get into the heart of the issue. What exactly is financial procrastination? You might be asking yourself, isn't procrastination is just the fancy term for being lazy? Well, it's a bit more complicated than that. Financial procrastination is the act of delaying or avoiding financial tasks like creating a budget, paying off debt, or saving for the future. It's not just about putting things off, it's often tied to deeper psychological factors like fear, anxiety, or even shame. We all know the feeling. You look at your credit card statement or your bank account balance, and the overwhelming urge to ignore it takes over. Maybe it's that looming debt or the complicated task of figuring out how to save for the retirement. Wherever it is, procrastination is your brain's defense mechanism against financial stress. You put it off because it feels easier in the short term, but the longer you avoid it, the more anxiety it builds up. At its core, financial procrastination is a coping mechanism. It's a way of avoiding the discomfort of confronting your finances heads on. But here is the thing, avoiding the problem doesn't make it go away. In fact, the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to deal with it. So understanding what financial procrastination is and why you do it is the first step in taking control and breaking the cycle. But how exactly do we break the cycle? Well, lucky for you, I've got some game-changing tips to help you stop putting it off and take control of your financial future. So let's talk about this. Why is it so hard to accept where we are financially? Is it the shame of not being where we thought we'd be by now? Maybe it's the guilt of knowing we should have saved more or spent less. But here is the cold hard truth. You'll never feel 100% ready to tackle your finances. Waiting until you're ready is like waiting for the perfect weather to go on a road trip. It might never come. But here is a better question. What if where you are right now is exactly where you need to start? Think about that for a second. What if the idea of being behind or not ready is just a mental block? What if accepting your situation right now without judgment is the key to moving forward? Do you think ignoring situation is going to help it? Nope, it's not. Ignoring your bank statements or burying your head in the sand will just build more anxiety and will make it harder to get started. Acceptance is the antidote to that procrastination paralysis. When you accept that you are not perfect, that you have made mistakes, and that you are right where you need to be to start, that's when the magic happens. Here is your challenge for today. Look at your finances, wherever they stand, and simply accept that this is where you are. No shame, no guilt, just reality. From this point on, every step forward is the progress, no matter how small. Trust me, this is the most important mindset shift you can make. You don't need to be ready, you just need to start. So let me ask you, what happens when you set a goal that's just too big, too fast, too complicated? You get frustrated, you get overwhelmed, and eventually you stop trying altogether. Sound familiar? The truth is, financial change doesn't happen overnight. It is a slow, steady process, kind of like losing weight. You can't expect to drop 50 pounds in a week. It takes time, commitment, and a lot of small steps that build up. Here is the secret to overcoming procrastination in your finances. Be realistic about what you can achieve right now. Set an setting goals that are achievable, goals within your current situation, is key to maintaining motivation and momentum. Think of it this way: if you expect yourself to save $1,000 every month, but you're currently struggling to cover your bills, you're setting yourself up for failure. Instead, try starting with something more manageable, like saving $100 this month, or maybe cutting back on one small recurring expense. Focus on progress, not perfection. So here is a big takeaway: don't overwhelm yourself with unrealistic financial goals. Break things down, keep your expectations grounded, and allow yourself the space to make progress in the pace that feels right for you. That's how you'll overcome procrastination and get where you want to be. Here is the huge secret to overcoming procrastination: don't worry about finishing it right now. I know that sounds counterintuitive, right? But here's the deal. When you think about the end result, whether it's paying off debt, saving for retirement, or building an emergency fund, the goal seems so far away, so overwhelming that you don't even know where to begin. You start thinking, how on earth am I going to get there? And end up avoiding the whole thing altogether. But here is the truth: you don't need to finish it right now. You don't need to have everything figured out in one go. What matters most is just starting. Think of it this way: a marathon runner doesn't focus on crossing the finish line in the first mile. They focus on putting one foot in front of the other. And that's all you need to do: start. Don't worry about the grand, perfect end result. So here is what I want you to do: stop focusing on how far you have to go and just focus on what you can do right now. Whether it's setting up your budget, tracking your spending for a week, or making the first deposit into your savings account, the goal isn't perfection, it's momentum. You don't need to finish everything today. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take the first step, and trust me, when you do, everything else will start to fall into place. Here's where things get interesting. Let's talk about the mindset. The real game changer is when you can shift your thinking from "I have to do this" to "I want to do this." Sounds simple, right? But trust me, this small shift can make all the difference in the world. Think about it. How often do you approach your finances with the attitude, "I have to do this"? Maybe it's reviewing your budget, tracking your spending, or paying down debt. It feels like a chore, right? It feels like you are being forced into it, and when that happens, you're more likely to procrastinate. But what if, instead of dreading it, you could start saying, "I really want to do this"? Imagine viewing your financial tasks not as obligations, but as an opportunities. An opportunity to get ahead, to secure your future, and to build the life you want. When you reframe it this way, you are not just doing it to check off the box. You are doing it because it aligns with your goals and your values. So here is another challenge: change how you think about your financial tasks. Instead of thinking, "I have to balance my budget," try thinking, "I want to create a budget that helps me to live the life I want." Instead of feeling stuck with your debt, think, "I'm excited to pay off my debt and feel the freedom of being debt-free." When you focus on how much better you'll feel once it's done, how much more empowered and in control you'll be, the task suddenly feels lighter. It doesn't feel like work anymore, it feels like progress. Alright, let's get creative for a second, because sometimes the best way to tackle procrastination isn't through the sheer willpower, but through imagination. That's right, visual imagery can be a powerful tool when it comes to overcoming financial procrastination. Here's the deal: our brains are wired to respond to visuals. We remember pictures better than words, and we are more motivated when we can see something in action. So why not apply this to your finances? Imagine at the moment that you are at the end of your financial journey. What does that look like to you? Maybe it's a debt-free life or a savings account that gives you peace of mind. Maybe it's the freedom to travel or retire early. Now here is a fun exercise. Close your eyes and picture your future self living that financial dream. What does it feel like? What does it look like? Maybe you're waking up with no anxiety about bills, or maybe you're looking at a bank balance that fills you with confidence. Visualizing that success isn't just fun, it's motivating. Let's take a step further. What if you created a vision board of a financial vision map? You can include images of your goals, a picture of a car you want to buy, a vacation destination you want to save for, or maybe just a big debt-free stamp. Seeing those images every day keeps the excitement alive and turns those abstract goals into something tangible. So are you ready to start visualizing your financial success? The more you picture it, the more motivated you'll be to turn that vision into reality. Your brain doesn't know the difference between the real and imagined success, so why not imagine the best outcome possible and start working toward it today? Now let's talk about the deadlines, because if we be honest, they are one of the most powerful tools you have to overcome procrastination. Without deadlines, tasks can drag on forever, and before you know it, you are still avoiding that budget review or that payoff plan you swore you'd tackle someday. But here is the secret: when you set a deadline, something clicks in your brain. It's like flipping a switch. Suddenly, there is urgency, and urgency leads to action. Here is a question for you: what happens when you don't set deadlines? The answer: nothing. You'll keep saying, "I'll do it later," and later becomes never. Deadlines change all that. When you set a firm deadline to your financial tasks, your brain knows it has to get done. It's like when you have a doctor's appointment, you don't put it off, you go, because there is a deadline. And that's exactly how you need to treat your financial tasks. So how do you set deadlines that work? Here is the trick. Be specific. Don't just say, "I'll save money." That's way too vague. Instead, say, "I will save $100 by the end of this month." Set a clear, measurable goal that has a concrete deadline. Break it down. Big goals are intimidating, right? Paying off $5,000 in debt or saving for a vacation can feel impossible. But guess what? You don't need to do it all at once. Break it down into smaller, bite-sized deadlines. This week I'll save $50, or I'll pay off $100 of my credit card balance by Friday. Small deadlines make big goals more manageable. But here is the most important part: you have to commit to those deadlines. No excuses, no pushing it off, no "I'll do it later." When you say you're going to do something, do it. Write it down, put it on your calendar, and tell someone. Hold yourself accountable. Deadlines only work when you actually show up for them. Remember, a deadline is like a promise you make to yourself. When you set a deadline, you've made an agreement that you will take an action, and when you hit that deadline, it's a win. The more deadlines you hit, the more confidence you build. You'll see progress, and that momentum, it keeps you going. So take a moment today and pick one financial task you've been putting off. Set a deadline for it, make it specific, make it real, and stick to it. Because when you commit to deadlines, procrastination doesn't stand a chance. And there you have it. Practical strategies to finally tackle that financial procrastination head-on. Remember, overcoming procrastination isn't about being perfect. It's about taking small, consistent steps forward. Set realistic goals, focus on your mindset, and don't forget to celebrate those small wins along the way. The truth is, the hardest part is getting started. But once you do, you'll find that momentum builds, and before you know it, you'll be way on your way to financial freedom. So let's stop putting it off. Your future self is waiting, and the first step is just around the corner. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and most importantly, share this video with anyone who needs a little push to get started on their financial journey. You've got this, and I'll see you in the next one.